Today, the Chinese response to President Trump's sweeping tariffs, counter-tariffs on certain American imports, plus an antitrust investigation into Google. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters this morning that Trump would have a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping soon. The U.S. president has framed his actions as fighting the flow of illegal drugs.
He is not going to allow China to continue to source and distribute deadly fentanyl into our country. That was the reason for this tariff. It was a retaliatory tariff on China for the last 4 years of their unprecedented distribution of fentanyl into our nation's borders.
The State Council Tariff Commission issued an announcement today stating that, starting from February 10, 2025, additional tariffs will be imposed on certain imported goods originating from the United States. Specifically, a 15% tariff will be applied to coal, liquefied natural gas, and a 10% tariff will be imposed on crude oil, agricultural machinery, large displacement vehicles, and pickup trucks.
The battle lines have been drawn, and neither Washington nor Beijing is backing down. What started as a mere trade dispute has morphed into an all-out economic war with global ramifications. The tit-for-tat retaliation between the U.S. and China is no longer about simple tariffs. It is about power, influence, and the control of the world's most critical industries. Beijing has fired back at the latest U.S. trade restrictions with an aggressive set of countermeasures, sending shockwaves across global markets. This is not just about policy, it is about dominance. The world is watching as these two superpowers escalate their economic war, leaving multinational corporations trapped in the middle of a high-stakes game of economic brinkmanship. Neither side is innocent in this ruthless game. The U.S. has spent years imposing restrictions aimed at crippling China's technological advancements, while China has systematically maneuvered to push Western firms into submission. The so-called free market is a facade when politics dictate who wins and who loses. American firms are being squeezed out of the Chinese market under the guise of regulatory crackdowns, while Chinese companies face crippling sanctions that block their access to crucial technology. Meanwhile, companies like Google, Tesla, and agricultural machinery giants find themselves as mere pawns in a geopolitical battle that transcends business interests. The hypocrisy on both sides is staggering. Both Washington and Beijing claim to champion economic fairness, while ruthlessly weaponizing trade as a tool of coercion. The consequences of this escalating war are far-reaching. The semiconductor sector, the automotive industry, the fashion world. No sector is immune. The U.S. wants to maintain its chokehold on global technology, while China is determined to break free from Western dominance. The stakes could not be higher, and the fallout is only beginning. One thing is certain, this is not just about trade. This is about the future of global supremacy, and the world is in for a long, unpredictable battle. Stay with us till the end. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. China's latest wave of economic countermeasures against U.S. businesses sent shockwaves through global markets, marking a significant escalation in an already tense economic rivalry between the world's two largest economies. The announcement came just as new U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods took effect, triggering an immediate and decisive response from Beijing that could potentially reshape trade relations for years to come. With multinational corporations such as Google, Tesla, and major agricultural machinery manufacturers now in the crosshairs, the fallout from this move extends far beyond mere tariffs. The State Administration for Market Regulation, one of China's most powerful regulatory bodies, initiated an antitrust investigation into Google, citing suspected violations of the country's anti-monopoly laws. While the specifics of these allegations remain vague, the implications are clear. Beijing is willing to wield its regulatory power against American corporations in retaliation for U.S. policies that have targeted China's own technological ambitions. The timing of the announcement, just minutes after the U.S. duties came into effect, underscored the precision of China's response. Though Google's footprint in China has been minimal since its search engine was blocked in 2010, the company still works with Chinese advertisers and partners, making it a valuable target for Beijing's regulatory maneuvers. Adding fuel to the fire, China's Commerce Ministry placed PVH Corp, the parent company of Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, alongside biotechnology firm Illumina, on its unreliable entity list. This designation carries severe consequences, including potential fines, trade restrictions, and the revocation of work permits for foreign employees. The move was justified on the basis that both companies had allegedly engaged in discriminatory practices that harm Chinese enterprises, though Beijing has provided little detail on what specific actions triggered the punishment. The inclusion of PVH Corp in particular signals China's willingness to escalate tensions in the consumer goods sector, an area that had previously been less affected by trade disputes. The rapid-fire nature of Beijing's response reflects a broader shift in Chinese economic strategy. Under President Xi Jinping's leadership, China has become increasingly assertive in defending its economic interests against what it perceives as Western hostility. While previous trade disputes were often settled behind closed doors, Beijing is now making its retaliatory measures highly visible, sending a clear message to both Washington and multinational corporations alike. China will not hesitate to impose costs on American businesses if its own firms are targeted. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. Tesla, another high-profile U.S. company, found itself caught in the crosshairs as Beijing imposed 10% tariffs on American-made farm equipment and select vehicle imports, including large engine sedans and certain trucks. While the immediate financial impact of these tariffs remains unclear, Tesla's Cybertruck, a futuristic, angular vehicle that Elon Musk has aggressively promoted in China, could be among the affected models. Tesla has been awaiting regulatory clearance to launch the Cybertruck in China, but with the new tariffs, any future imports from its Texas factory may face significant price increases. Chinese authorities briefly designated the Cybertruck as a passenger car in an industry notice last December, only to retract that classification shortly afterward, further muddying the regulatory landscape for the electric vehicle manufacturer. For agricultural giants like Caterpillar, Deere Company, and AGCO, the tariffs on farm equipment represent a significant escalation of trade hostilities. The agricultural sector has long been a battleground in U.S.-China economic disputes, with both sides leveraging tariffs on food production and farm machinery to gain leverage in broader negotiations. China remains one of the largest importers of U.S. agricultural goods, and while these new tariffs will not completely shut out American manufacturers, they signal a potential shift toward favoring domestic or non-U.S. suppliers. The broader geopolitical implications of these measures cannot be ignored. China's decision to launch a rapid response to the U.S. tariffs is a calculated maneuver, one that seeks to pressure Washington into reconsidering its own trade restrictions. Beijing has long accused the U.S. of attempting to stifle its technological advancement, particularly through restrictions on semiconductor exports. In December, China launched an antitrust investigation into NVIDIA, a move widely viewed as a retaliatory measure against U.S. sanctions on Chinese chip makers. Similarly, Intel's products in China were subjected to a security review by an influential Chinese industry group, raising concerns about potential regulatory roadblocks for the U.S. semiconductor giant. At the heart of this economic confrontation lies a deeper struggle over global technological dominance. The semiconductor industry, in particular, has become a flashpoint in U.S.-China relations, with Washington seeking to limit Beijing's access to advanced chip technologies. The Biden administration has imposed sweeping export controls aimed at restricting China's ability to manufacture cutting-edge semiconductors. Citing national security concerns, these measures have severely hampered Chinese firms' ability to acquire crucial components from companies such as AMLL and TSMC, two of the world's most advanced semiconductor manufacturers. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. China's response has been multifaceted. In addition to launching antitrust investigations and imposing tariffs, Beijing has ramped up efforts to achieve self-sufficiency in semiconductor production. State-backed initiatives aimed at boosting domestic chip manufacturing have received billions of dollars in funding, and Chinese firms are increasingly looking to home-grow alternatives to fill the gaps left by Western export restrictions. While the road to full technological independence remains long, Beijing's latest moves indicate a determination to accelerate this process at any cost. Beyond technology, the implications of China's actions extend into the broader economic landscape. The inclusion of PVH Corp on the unreliable entity list highlights Beijing's willingness to target consumer brands that rely on the Chinese market. The fashion industry, which has traditionally operated in a relatively apolitical space, is now being drawn into the fray, raising concerns among other multinational retailers about potential regulatory backlash. Companies that have taken stances on sensitive political issues, such as human rights concerns in the Xinjiang region, are particularly vulnerable to Beijing's retaliatory measures. Despite the escalating tensions, there remains a possibility that some of these measures could be reversed. Analysts at Capital Economics have suggested that China's actions are intended as a warning shot rather than an irreversible policy shift. The tariffs, for instance, could be postponed or canceled before they take full effect, and the investigation into Google may ultimately conclude without significant penalties. Beijing has historically employed a strategy of measured escalation, applying pressure in ways that maximize leverage without completely severing economic ties. However, with both Washington and Beijing doubling down on their respective trade policies, the likelihood of a near-term de-escalation appears slim. The Biden administration has continued many of the trade policies established under former President Donald Trump, signaling bipartisan consensus in Washington on the need to counter China's economic ambitions. Meanwhile, Beijing's increasingly assertive stance suggests that it is prepared for a prolonged economic standoff. As the situation unfolds, the impact on global markets will be closely watched. Investors are already bracing for potential disruptions in supply chains, particularly in the technology and automotive sectors. U.S. companies operating in China may face heightened regulatory scrutiny, while Chinese firms seeking access to Western markets could encounter new barriers. The interplay between economic policy and geopolitical strategy will shape the future of U.S.-China relations, with significant consequences for industries spanning from semiconductors to luxury fashion. With both sides entrenched in their positions, the coming months are likely to bring further developments in this high-stakes economic confrontation, whether through additional tariffs, expanded regulatory actions, or retaliatory trade restrictions. The economic battle between Beijing and Washington shows no signs of abating. The full impact of these measures remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the world's two largest economies are now locked in a competition that extends far beyond trade, shaping the very future of global economic power. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.